What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sam Paddy Projects, and you join me on another video back with the Civic Type R. Now, one thing I've noticed is that the rocker cover is leaking oil. It's very common, especially with cars of this mileage, common across all cars. But what we're going to be doing today is taking the rocker cover off, changing the gasket and putting it back on. And while we are there, we're going to be painting it a different colour. So let's jump straight in, let's go. Alright, cool. So let's have a look at what's going on here. So I'm just going to put my finger next to it. It's where the rocker cover is, and yeah, it's definitely leaking out of there, and it's going all the way down to the bottom of the engine as well. Let's see if we can get some focus. Yeah, because I first properly noticed it. I mean, I saw a little bit of seepage last time I had a look at it and it wasn't too bad, but when I took the gearbox off to do the clutch, that's when I actually noticed, like, it's pretty much all the way round as well, or it's just running that way. So let's get to work. First thing to do is to disconnect the battery, because we will be taking off some electrical connectors, and taking this shrouding off is meant to have little clips in it, but mine had cable ties. Let's undo the Phillips screws that are holding the washer jets on for the screen wash. Nice and easy. And let's be sure not to lose them, so just screw them back into the jets. A little bit of WD-40 on those bolts. Coming off nice and easy. All of these bolts are 10mm. There's a few sneaky ones at the back, but you're just going to have to grab a little extension just to be able to reach them. Just to make things easier for me, I took out the drill. And didn't even drop one. So let's take off the breather pipe and start undoing all of the 10mm bolts that hold on the covers for the rocker cover. So we want to take off the 10mm bolts that are holding on the bracket for the wiring harness that goes to the ignition coils. They come out pretty easy. And all the 10mm bolts holding in the ignition coils. Let's pop that harness off and get it up and out of the way. And remove the coils. Be sure to put these somewhere safe where they can't get damaged. And with those off, we can take off the cover that goes over the intake. There's two 10mm bolts and it pops straight off. And oh, look at that oil leak. And it appears to be coming from the rocker cover washers and not from the oil cap. So let's get them straight off. More 10mm bolts again. And on closer inspection, yeah, the rubber's definitely perished on those. Top tip, best to clean your engine bay before you start to do this, because of what you're about to see here. Alright, so when I was taking off the rocker cover, I'm not sure if the camera will show it properly, but we did get a bit of paint fleck into the engine, but we have a solution. So I've got my little suction pump. Any got in or any other bits of the paint, I'm just going to have to suck it out now. Yeah, so while we're here, having a look at those cam lobes, I mean, you can see like a little bit of score in there. Like, that's probably the worst one. But I mean, to be honest, they don't look scratched. They just look used, if that makes sense. And there's not like a huge like crud build up around the actual cams, which is really good. And having a look at the springs, they've probably never been changed, but who knows, we didn't get any service history with this. But I mean, this looks like a looked after engine, but what I am interested in is this chain here. Now, I wouldn't say that is a 160k chain. I'd say this has definitely been done before. Let's check. And yeah, look, that looks new. The guider for it does look new. I just want to get my hand around here. I have washed my hands. So shortly after this, I realised there are pen marks on the cam gears. So this indicates somebody at some point needed to find top dead centre, and yeah, it's definitely been changed. See if we've got any play. Do we? Yeah, the guiders definitely look new. I mean, look up the top there. It's just. I mean, if you can see that, I'm not sure if that's too loose. Well, that's where we're at. We might be looking at actually getting that done. It's not rattling or anything when I drive, so that's a good thing. But I will obviously do a bit of research to see if it should have that much slack, because I can't really check at the sides. But yeah, anyways, let's go and paint this rocker cover and cover this up so no more crud gets in there. So with a plastic bag over the engine and a quick hose down for the parts that need painting, we went on to remove the spark plug seals. Now these were a little bit tricky. We don't want to use the pliers, we don't want to use the screwdrivers. It took a month of Sundays to get it out, but what we do want to use is a pry bar, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. You need to be so careful not to actually score the rocker cover, but if you come in from the right angle, just catching the lip of that rubber, they do come out nice and easy with a bit of leverage. But obviously, as you can see here, do take your time on doing this. So this isn't the best way of getting the paint off. Do use some paint stripper, because you can't get into all the nooks and crannies with a wire wheel. So with everything masked up, I was ready to paint. Also, I thought, because I didn't cover the breather hose or the side of the rocker cover, but with that done, we was getting a nice golden paint job. And we're going to do the covers black. After masking up the Honda and the VTEC badge. And while we wait for it to dry, we're going to put some proper hose clamps on, not the rusty old clips. Out with the old and in with the new. And speaking of new, let's get our brand new seals on. So a little trick for the spark plug seals, put a bit of oil around them, get them into place, and then use a rubber mallet just to gently tap them in, but make sure it's clean before you tap them in. And with that done, let's tie the wiring harness out of the way and anything that can potentially get in the way. So we're able to drop the rocker cover straight onto the engine. Nice and easy. So let's put the new seals around where the bolts go. And now we can tighten everything up by hand and then torque it down to spec. 12 Newton meters in the pattern shown on screen. Alright, so we cleaned up the engine bay enough to tell if we get another potential oil leak. Now all we're going to have to do is put the fuel rail back on and unplug these ignition coils, because what we want to do is crank the car just to circulate a bit of oil, because obviously we've taken it off and cleaned it, so we've lost a bit of oil, just to get it shooting around the cams again, and put the covers back on and we should be ready to call it a day. Alright, so we just want to crank some oil. That'll do us. So now it's time to put everything on back the way it came off, and oh my god, what a difference it makes. Can't see any weeping, which is good. Probably should have left that off. But from my eyes, I can see that nothing appears to be coming out. Alright, so the leak is no longer there, which is great. I've just spent a few minutes having a look at the car, and honestly, it has literally brought back this engine bay. I mean, there's so much more to do, so many little rusty parts and things that can make it better. But like, for instance, the intake manifold, if we make that a nice chrome, like just literally polish the hell out of it, I think this whole engine bay will pop. There is so much more to do, so do us a favor, see the subscribe button down there? Just go like that. Nice one. It's your boy Sam Paddy Projects, and I'll catch you on the next one.